In today's video, we're making a cold processed soap with fresh avocado and a silky cream coconut milk. If you enjoy watching us make these fresh bath and body products, then hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see the next project we're working on. We're getting right to work with a beautiful 5-oil blend. You'll notice that we're pouring in avocado oil with this recipe, and it's already tinted the oils green. We're going to go with this, and we're going to make our color schemes green and yellow for this bar. Now we have a couple things to prepare before we get too far, and first we're going to cut half an avocado and blend this down to a puree. We want to get the consistency down to like a baby food paste. And if your blender doesn't get it down to that consistency and it still gives you slightly large chunks, then you want to remove it from the blender and continue to pulverize it until it's completely broken down. We need to get our cosmetic grade powdered mica prepared, so we'll add 1 teaspoon to about 3 tablespoons of our oil combination, and we'll turn this into a nice smooth paste. Setting everything else aside, we need to make our lye water solution. So we'll carefully pour the lye crystals into the water. You'll notice here that we don't have as much water as we normally might, and that's because we're going to reduce the amount of water to compensate for the coconut milk that we're going to add into the recipe. Now it's standard practice that you add your lye water solution to your oils when they've both reached room temperature or they're about 20 degrees apart from each other. In this recipe, it's especially important. We need to make sure that that lye water solution is at room temperature, because as we blend it in and emulsify it well, we're going to add in our coconut milk. And what we don't want to do is burn our ingredients as we're trying to combine them. So first we'll give it a little bit of a test. I'll put in about 2 ounces of coconut milk right there and mix it. If all the coloring stays the same, which it appears to be as we're moving around with our stick blender, then we know we're good. If it were to turn brown or very dark or immediately be discolored, then we know that there was a chemical reaction going on, and in fact our lye water had been too hot and the ingredients were starting to burn. You can also smell it if it starts to burn, and it doesn't smell very pleasant. It smells like scorched milk. So now we know we're safe to add in the rest of our coconut milk. We need to make sure everything becomes incorporated really well. In fact, you can see that oil slick sheen on the surface of the batter right now. We want to keep mixing until that sheen goes away. At this time, we're going to add in our fragrance oil, and today we're just using a standard coconut, which smells incredible, but coconut does contain vanilla, so we want to make sure that we add a little bit of a vanilla stabilizer in with our batter, and that will prevent the fragrance oil from turning our soap bar a little brown tinge to it as it cures or as time goes on. Now, if you don't mind that your bar will be affected in this way, then you actually don't need to add the vanilla stabilizer. It won't affect the quality of your product at all. This is just for the coloring. Now before we go on, we're going to separate some of the batter into a smaller bowl, and then we'll set it aside. And then with our larger bowl, we're going to add in the fresh pureed avocado, and also on top of that, we're going to add in mica and oil combination that we made earlier for our coloring. And we're going to blend this up until we get a nice solid green base color. Now the avocado recipe is a highly requested one by consumers, and it's no surprise that the avocado itself is usually a cardinal ingredient in many bath products. And the reason for that is because it's chock full of nutrients and vitamins. In fact, the avocado itself is filled with 20 vitamins, and it's packed full of vitamin E and vitamin C, which is that golden anti-aging vitamin that everyone goes crazy for. We're going to prep up our piping tools now, which will be for the decorations at the end of the project, but we're going to give this a chance for the batter to firm up so it will be in the piping consistency. So we'll set up our piping bag, and it has a star tip, a large star tip at the end, and we're going to put a half a cup of the green batter in one piping bag, and then we'll set this aside and leave it alone. Now it's time to give the rest of our base soap a little bit of contrasting color. So we're going to return the yellow batter back into the large bowl, and we're going to kind of blob it in there and mix it together and give it a sort of in the bowl swirl before we continue to pour it into the full loaf mold. Now our final bit of yellow batter is starting to set up very nicely, and we want to prepare this in a piping bag exactly the same way we did with the green. And now it's time to gently pipe the top of our decoration for this loaf. The Soapberry Green cosmetic grade mica brought us the perfect shade of sage to create a natural looking avocado color. Once the piping is finally complete, we'll set this aside for 24 hours and then we'll come back and cut it when it's hardened up. This mold should be nice and firm, anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. You can get about 11 6-ounce pieces out of 3.5 pounds of soap, and now we'll set these aside to cure anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks before they're ready to be packaged or ready to be used. If you'd like to make this yourself at home, you can pop over to our website at Thermal Mermaid, where you can get the full recipe ready to be printed and downloaded along with step-by-step instructions. And we have hundreds of recipes listed in the Thermal Mermaid Learning Library, ready to be enjoyed at home.